What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about OSCR Health. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it and why this might be a optimum time to buy. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So it is down 7.21%, largely just piggybacking off of the broader market sphere. And a lot of that is coming from Netflix. So Netflix did put out their earnings after hours on Tuesday. A lot of their margins and subscriber count wasn't in line with expectations. So that's what's sparking kind of all of this fear in the market. But it isn't truly institutions selling. So even though in OSCR Health's case, 9.9 million shares being traded, most of that is coming from algorithmic trading. And that's the same type of scenario across the board. So I want to go over that and what that truly does mean. But 1977 the low, 2170 the high. So when it comes to OSCR Health, there hasn't really been all that much in news from them today. They did put out a couple earlier this week. One was this right here. So Electra Health and OSCR launch 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗓, the first ever menopause health plan in the individual market. And then the other thing that they did put out at the same time was expansion. So by 2026 or in 2026, they're going to be expanding into Alabama and also Mississippi. So in roughly around 573 counties. So generally, this is good. Expansion is good, and especially more so for the sector. At the same time, they also did announce the date of their upcoming earnings, which is November the 6th. I do feel, based on the current estimates, just analysts have such low expectations for their earnings that they could easily beat. And they do have very low expectations because even looking at a lot of the most recent ratings, they're crap. There's no other way to spin it. And I guess it could be argued in one way or another that a lot of this could be just potential manipulation, but you have $17 being the highest rating, and that was just initiated coverage. Goldman Sachs, Scott, who has a 64% success rating. Everything else is sell, 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 sell. So everyone has such low expectations. Over the last 3 months, as a consensus, 1233 is that price target, representing a 38.64% downside. So absolutely crazy stuff. So this upcoming earnings could be that positive catalyst to really push it to that $24-25 range. So new 52-week high. When it comes to OSCR Health, quickly pulling up shorts, I'll give you a quick overview of what they are doing. So at the time of doing this video, shorts are returning 212,000 shares. So this is why I like to analyze all this information, because if shorts truly did feel that today was kind of the end all be all, that we're going to be going down, they would be increasing, but they're not. They're returning. So again, I do feel like that is a kind of indirectly a bullish thing. 20.79% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 42.6 million shares overall are being shorted. So short's been very active, kind of going all over the place. So in July, short interest at the peak was about 37.3%. Then they did have a low recently of 14.7%. So they're very, very active. But nonetheless, though, quickly popping over here, there's more than 10 million shares available to be shorted. So again, as I mentioned, if they really did feel that like crap was going to hit the wall or whatever you want to call it, they could easily double down. Plus, it's relatively cheap to short OSCR Health. I'm not promoting it at all, but cost to borrow is very, very low. So it is 0.43, and that is a annual rate, not a daily rate. So another bullish thing, if you ask me, looking at the options, 6.07 million in calls, 2.2 in puts, 44% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. And I look at a lot of different stocks throughout the trading day, and most of which aren't bullish from the sentiment standpoint. So this definitely does stand out. You're seeing net premiums go up roughly around 203,000, nothing too crazy, but from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of around that $21 to $22 range by the end of this Friday. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1950. So in my opinion, the fact that we did hit that 1977 as a low today is more of a sign that the market wants to really move back higher, and it does want to kind of get bought up. So even though the market is very fearful right now, I feel like there is a certain level of optimism. These are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So only 4, so not all that much. So big money is actually not the culprit behind the scenes, because even from here, you can see it's evenly divided, half buying, half selling. So most of the volume is truly coming from algorithmic trading, and you can see that based on this right over here. So looking at the flow, those smaller transactions, that is algorithmic trading. So I do feel today's push lower is not justified. So again, I do feel that big money is going to be buying the dip and really pushing Oscar Health to kind of higher highs. So let me know your viewpoint on that. These are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So with shorts being fairly active as per usual, most of these transactions are linked to them or other hedge funds. On a side note, with it right now at 2020, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 2040 is going to be the next round target / resistance, followed by 2160. So kind of bounce off of that general R2. So we do know that is a pretty heavy resistance level. So just kind of keep that in mind. Might not be hit today nor tomorrow, but in the foreseeable future, just kind of take note of that. And if it is able to get over that 2160, in the short term, you could easily see that 2354 and then just hop, skip, and a jump away from that 2861. So again, just kind of take a mental note of some of these support and resistance points if you're going to dollar cost average or whatever floats your boat. But aside from all of that though, on the actual chart itself, things aren't looking that bad. We're seeing a lot of volatility every single day. So for those of you that haven't dabbled with options, take the time to research because it can be very profitable and very beneficial because especially on a volatile stock such as Oscar Health, you can make some very good money. But looking at the market position, you do see a lot more willing sellers. Some of that could be just artificial through algos, but I do feel that you could see some volatility. So right now it is below that 10-day moving average, so signaling a little bit of a loss of momentum, which it did have some very good momentum most recently, ever since it looks like on the 17th. That's where things started to really pick on higher. But anytime stocks run up like was it 10% or whatever else in the short term, you're going to have a certain level of profit taking. So that's also taking into account today. But at the end of the day, stochastic RSI is considered very oversold. So a good piece of news or a nice recovery, you could see a big push higher. So let me know your thoughts on Oscar Health. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with Oscar behind the scenes? I myself, I do own a lot of shares. At the same time, I do continuously sell puts. And so for instance, in case you guys don't know options, if you keep selling puts, if it does not go below your strike price, you get to keep the premium. If it goes below your strike, you get to buy it at the price you want. It's a win-win. And beside the point, I do recommend a lot of people to take a look at options. So in theory, let's say you assume it's going to go to, let's say, $26 by December, just throwing that out there. You could make 28% on the common stock, or you could make 83.67% on a long call. So for those of you that are bullish on Oscar or any stock out there, just research options. I know sometimes it's very scary to look at a lot of the numbers and a lot of different moving parts, but if you want to make some very serious money in the market, look at options. So let me know your thoughts on Oscar. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.